Yes, welcome into episode 4 of Take Your Marks. Looking forward to this one. Really cool interview coming up with Philip Rush, arguably New Zealand's greatest ever open water swimmer. He still holds the world record for the double and triple crossing of the English Channel. He's going to recall that particular day in 1987 when he broke the record for swimming across the English Channel 3 times. First up, though, we are going to look back and reflect on Epic 2021, a great swimming event staged in Taupō in January. It also doubled up as the New Zealand Open Water Swimming Championships. Plenty of very cool things happening also in para swimming. Cameron Leslie on the program. They've got a new staff member, a new coach on board. We'll have a chat to him, find out what is going on in that space. But first up, let's look back on a remarkable weekend in January for Epic 2021. Simply remarkable weekend. I've got to say I thoroughly enjoyed it. So many different events across the 2 days. Congratulations must go to Joseph Stewart and Ruby Heath for taking out both the men's and women's 5 and 10K open water swimming championships. Also, I just want to acknowledge too, St. Peter's of Cambridge for winning the National Club 4x1K championship overall, and also the Pukekohe Swim Club named the best swim club across the 2 days. Now, the dates for next year have been established. They are January the 15th and 16th. So do encourage as many people as you know, when entries do open, to enter, take part. It is simply a remarkable event. A little bit later on the program, we are going to continue with our open water swimming theme. We're going to have a sit-down interview with Philip Rush, the New Zealander who still holds the world record for the triple crossing of the English Channel. But next, my guest is Cameron Leslie. We're going to catch up and find out about some of the new initiatives in the space that is para swimming. Cameron himself, a 3-time Paralympic gold medalist.
Significant changes.
Yeah, so we've added some extra support in here to work alongside the coaches and to give our athletes a better chance of tracking towards Paris 2024 and further on from there.
And to do that?
To do that, we've brought on board Simon Mayne, who's para swimming coach, has been around for a long time, working within clubs and working within high performance para swimming. Coached alongside Olympians and Paralympians. He's coached a fair few Paralympians to medals, so he certainly knows what he's talking about.
So why the change?
Essentially it's to give the athletes a better shot at succeeding in years to come. So I sort of identified a bit of a shortfall in what we're offering in our para program was needing some more coach support there. So to do that, you bring someone on board who's got a really good knowledge in that space to work better with those coaches so that they can become better coaches and the athletes in turn get a better product and a better chance at success.
So give us a little bit about your background in terms of coaching and your background in swimming.
Well, I started, did a phys ed degree and I majored in swimming. And then when I came to New Zealand, I started as a volunteer coach and sort of worked my way up to becoming a gold accredited coach with swimmers on teams. You know, that was kind of the way I wanted it to be. I just want to keep getting better and better. And now I want to be able to pass on what I know back to other coaches.
And the para swimming space, has that always been an ambition, or did you just naturally fall into that?
No, I naturally fell into that. I was at a club that had a guy that had got bronze in Athens, Daniel Sharp, and I started coaching him, and he wanted to get a gold in Beijing, so that was our goal. And then along the way I met Cameron Leslie, and Cameron decided to move to Auckland for university, and so I started coaching both of them. And then we went to Beijing and Cam got a gold and Daniel got a silver. So that was kind of it snowballed from there, really.
Working with able-bodied swimmers,
yeah,
and then moving into the para swimming space and having to overcome the challenges that go with para athletes, has that made you a better overall coach?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I think when you're an able-bodied coach, you're in command style. You're just telling people what to do all the time. But when you're with a para swimmer, you can't tell them what to do because you don't actually know what they can do, only they know. So if I'm asking someone to do a drill and they physically can't move their arm out of the water, then that's a silly drill to give them. So you have to then ask them, what do you think you can do? And it's almost like an amalgamation of what I want, what they can do, and we just keep trying to get what they can do better. So you're just looking at the way they move in the water, their buoyancy, the drag that they're creating, and you're trying to minimize that. So it's exactly the same as able-bodied, but with able-bodied there's lots of books and there's lots of videos and everybody's aware of the best technique in the world, whereas each individual athlete is very individual. So Cameron as an S4 is actually really different to all the other S4s in the world, and so we have to find out what's best for him and how he can move through the water better, and it's like a teamwork thing. So I think age group coaching is more a telling, and the kids just do as they're told. I think with with para, you have to really get a trust with them that they can tell you what they can do, and they're not going to sort of pull the wool over your eyes as well. You don't want them to be saying, oh, I can't do that, because it's the easy option. You still want to be working them, make them work hard, but you want to make them work hard with a purpose.
And so what do you hope to bring to the Paralympic program in 2021 and beyond?
Well, just to be pointing out things that could be done better. I mean, it's I'm quite a critical person. I like things to be done properly, and that's the reason I started coaching, is I just wanted things to be done better each year and each month, and progress from there. So I think if I can help a coach by, do they actually know that their swimmer is doing that? Take a video, show them the video, come up with a plan with them. I don't just want to tell them they're doing it wrong and leave them to it. Come up with a plan as how they can fix it, and then maybe in 2 months' time we video them again and we look to see whether they've actually changed that fault or whether they're moving through the water any better. So it's not just about the time. The time happens because you're more efficient through the water and you're creating less drag, you're breathing less, you might be pushing off the wall, but all those little things that able-bodied do as well, we need to be doing just as well.
Well, they're impressive, aren't they? Both Cameron Leslie and Simon Mayne. And welcome aboard, Simon Mayne. Great that more work is going to be done in terms of the coaching of para athletes and upskilling our current coaches around the country, and also encouraging more participation, giving athletes more of a pathway. Continue the wonderful success we've had in swimming at the Paralympics. Our final segment on the program, and I've been looking forward to this, is with an icon of New Zealand swimming, Philip Rush. Now, Philip, in 1987, broke the world record for the double and triple crossing of the English Channel. And it's simply an opportunity to reminisce and talk about that famous day.
I can still remember that day, Mark, very, very well. I'd been waiting 4 years. I'd done 7 crossings to try and get the triple crossing. When we arrived in the UK, we were there to swim the English Channel 4 ways, even though I hadn't swum it once. So from there, we put into the planning, we got the skipper. The skipper told me what times I was going to do a few years out, and I said, well, we'll see what happens. But on that day, I remember getting the phone call at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and he said, Skipper Mike Oram said to me, there's going to be a window. And once again, I'd had 7 attempts at this. I was saying, oh yeah, okay, well, what time are we going? And it was 7 o'clock that night, that we had to be down at Shakespeare Beach ready to go. We were down there, it was dead calm. We hadn't seen a day like it, but every time we went out prior to that was going to be a triple crossing. So the gun went, basically off we went again, greased up, light sticks on, ready to go, swimming into the night. About halfway across, Tony Keenan, who was my coach at the time, said to me, listen, I don't want to alarm you, but the weather's looking really good and we are on to break the fastest ever crossing of the English Channel. And I just laughed.
What was the record then?
The record then was 7 hours 40 seconds. 7 hours 40 minutes. So from there, we just keep continuing. He said, just keep it calm, stay calm, just do what you're doing. And the weather stayed dead calm. And of course, all the time you're thinking, oh, that weather's going to blow up. It's going to blow up, as it did 7 times prior. The day went on into the night. And Tony said, look, he said, we're going to push it along. He said, I want to have a go at this fastest ever crossing. I said, yep, right, let's go. So we just upped the pace a bit. I was feeling good. Obviously, we were going to continue that day. Anyway, we washed up in France, 7 hours, 50 minutes. So we missed it by 10 minutes. The fastest ever male to cross the English Channel at that stage. So we were setting ourselves up well for the three-way.
Philip, how did you communicate with your coach in terms of setting the pace, setting the tempo, when clearly you're not allowed any sort of outside help?
No, well, we fed every 30 minutes. Every 30 minutes, I'm having some some high carbs, electrolytes, as they do these days. It was a bit more rougher back then, and as we stop, he says, right, look at this, think of that, just keep straight, do what you're doing. We had a good communication. I could tell, he just hand signals to pick it up and things like that. But I was lucky. I could hold good pace.
When you say hold good pace, how much training had gone into this? What sort of mileage were you doing in the build-up?
Oh, the build-up, we have been doing 100 Ks a week, all in the pool. Prior to going to the world professional circuit, we would race from a minimum of 6 hours to 18 and a half hours. So it's all about getting yourself in that mental frame to be able to punish yourself for long periods of time.
Okay. On that first crossing, 7 hours 50, what do you remember about the water quality? And did you see any sea life? It's a very busy shipping lane. No,
there's 400 boats every 24 hours go through it, and about 300 go across. The swimmer has to give way. Anybody that's spent any time in the English Channel will know that you can't really see your hand under the water because of the filth in there. It's not a nice piece of water as far as quality goes, but you know, it's just a matter of getting on. We had a dead calm day or night, so we were very lucky.
Now, I understand too, if you're going to do a double or triple crossing, you are allowed to sit on the beach in Calais for 10 minutes before going back, but that you didn't choose that option.
No, we always said that we would turn and come back, have something to eat back out in the water. Frame of mind, sitting on the beach, looking back, you're thinking, oh, have I got to go all the way back there? It's better to clear water, get back in the water, swim half a mile, and then stop and have something to eat, maybe something a bit different, some spaghetti or, you know, just good sized portions just to keep you going for that day.
So what goes through your head through the first 7 hours 50, and then clearly through the next 8 hours, and then clearly you've got the third lap back across? I mean, where is the mind? How do you switch off? What are you thinking about for that period of time?
The mind is that you must slow your mind down. You can't start all of a sudden thinking about time, because all of a sudden you'll think, oh, look, there must be half an hour, time for a feed, 3 or 4 minutes. You have to shut out anything that's going on around you. At night, I used to love swimming at night. It's dark around you. It's pointless lifting your head to see where you're going. As long as you're following the boat, there's 1,632 strokes every 30 minutes. So bang, you just get into a rhythm. At night, we wouldn't talk a lot because you just shut off. And there was some tests done that we were just about asleep, but we were still swimming at 4.7 Ks an hour, and we were conserving energy as such. When morning came, we were up to near on 5 Ks an hour, and we were consistently holding that pace night and day.
Water temperature and dealing with some of those environmental factors.
Water temperature, we were sitting on about 16 degrees all day. As I say, a lot of the time we would get some rough conditions out there. This day, remember, we waited 4 years for this. People ring me and say, I'm going to break your 3-way record. I said, oh, good luck. You're going to take 2 or 3 years? He said, oh, no, I've got a set of tides. I've got 4 days. It's going to happen. You can't have that when you're doing anything with ocean conditions. It's all about the weather as well, getting the conditions right. 4 years to get the water dead calm, to be able to have that opportunity to do it.
You said you followed the boat. Did the boat, what you following the wash off the boat? Was there a rope? What were you following?
No. We literally, the boat stayed alongside. Every time I turned my head to breathe, I was looking at my coach who was sitting over the side of the boat, just giving me hand signals or just being there as support.
You missed the world record for the single crossing by about 10 minutes. Was the focus then to break the world record for the double?
Well, the world record for the double was mine. The focus was just to get on with our job. I was in good shape. I was happy. I was in a good frame of mind. Morning had come. We're turning around. We're on our way home. Once again, the single record for the fastest ever from France to England, we never ever thought about it until we're about halfway back, and we were well under that time. So Tony just said, keep the pressure on. We weren't sprinting to do that. These things happened because we were in good condition. We'd spent time preparing. We had a good team, and yeah, I was swimming well on the day. We got 3/4 of the way back, and we knew at that point I was going to take an hour off my old double crossing record. Now that's a lot of time in open water swimming.
The total distance for the double crossing?
The total distance was about close to 70 Ks. Okay, there and back with the deviation the slight deviations we went on. We were back there in 16 hours, just over 16 hours. So, and that was a new record, and we did the fastest. We were 8 hours 15 for the fastest ever from France to England.
Look, all major these days endurance events, we see a lot of people running 100 miles, Ironman, all of these major events. You're going to go through highs throughout the day, but you're also going to go through some low patches. Did you have many low patches? Did you have many doubts, and how did you deal with those?
I think you'd be, at times it's about controlling your mind. You cannot let negativity get into your mind. No matter how much it's hurting, it's your mind that's telling you it's hurting. If you've done the preparation and you are in shape, you can do anything you want if you control your mind. And I'm a firm believer of that. I did have some down periods. I worked through them that I would just completely shut off and start counting strokes. And just holding that technique, thinking of my stroke, just shutting off really, because pain, you shouldn't be in pain. You've got to get rid of that pain out of your mind.
When you headed back for that third leg back to France to complete the 3 laps, was there a point where really fatigue did start to kick in, and it didn't just become mental, but it actually did get to a point where it did become physical?
About halfway back, I just had a guts full, to be quite honest. We'd been swimming well. We were going to move into another night. It was still dead calm. It was just my frame of mind. I just got a little bit down to it. And, Tony, I remember him saying to me, he said, look, we are halfway back. You've swum faster than anybody has ever swum this before. He said, at this stage, once we completed the 3-way, we took 10 hours off the record. So we were doing something pretty special. There was a lot of media back then. There was no cell phones. There was helicopters in the air. There was all sorts of people following us. And that was enough to just lift me up again and keep going. And, at the end of the day, 28 hours swimming at, sort of 4.5 Ks an hour, there's a bit of pain you got to go through to get as you would say, a bit of pain to get the gain.
And what did it feel like when you touched Calais for the second time, therefore the triple crossing, you established the world record, you broke your own previous world record of two laps. How did you feel about it?
It was pretty bloody amazing. This boy from down in New Zealand that everybody thought was talking a whole pile of bloody rubbish, that they were going to swim it 3 ways. We'd taken 10 hours, 20 minutes off. Tony came up to me, and I tell the story, and I'm talking about it now. I send shivers down my spine. We sat there. It was fantastic. He came up to me. He said, listen, I'm not going to touch you. I said, there was one French photographer on this little beach there talking away in French, and I had no idea what he was talking about. Tony said, we've got 10 minutes. He said, listen to me. He said, how far back can you go? And I said, oh. He said, I'm going for a walk. He said, when I come back, I want a decision. So I walked down the beach and I'm sitting there mulling things over in my brain, and which was pretty mushy at the stage, as you could well imagine. He came back. I said, Tony, I said, I can get over halfway back. He threw the towel over my shoulder, picked me up, gave me a cuddle and said, well, it's better to be known for the one that did 3 good ones. Now, to this day, why didn't we give it a go? We were set up. The 3rd lap was the hard one. That was a bit longer. That was 12 hours. The next lap would have been good. Who knows? The weather held. I could have been the first to do 4 instead of the young lady that just recently has done it. But we didn't. We had 3 good ones, and I have no regrets about that, but it irks me now. This guy who was as tough as old boots, why did he not kick my ass back out there and bloody get on with it?
Well, simply remarkable, Philip Rush. Just how hard is this guy? 28 hours, 21 minutes. His world record that still stands for the triple crossing. The double crossing, 16 hours and 10 minutes. Getting fed every 30 minutes. Certainly got a head like granite. But the nice story in it is that he can do it out of Dunedin, swimming at St Clair growing up. Then anybody here in New Zealand is still capable of breaking records, and that you don't need to necessarily come from the big countries. Hope you have enjoyed this episode of Take Your Marks. It's been a privilege and a pleasure. Until next time, remember, always be first in the pool and be the last out.